released that figure yesterday, but some people are also questioning why the headline inflation number should be at 22.79%, bearing in mind that fuel subsidy was removed, as well as the adjustment or FX unification that we saw just a few weeks ago. So for those of you that are looking at this data now, what this just shows you is a pictorial of where we have been so far from January till now, talking about headline inflation. So it's good for those of you studying economics, or those of you that are interested in what we're saying every day. At least you have an idea. This is the figure for June, and these are the figures for the whole year so far. The president has declared a state of emergency on food security. Perhaps in the next few months, if they put actions to work, we may begin to see food inflation coming down. But that is also dependent on tackling insecurity in the country, because majority of what we're suffering around food and most of our problems are structural. So we need to solve the structural problems that we have, apart from just, bandaging the symptoms. All right, let's move to the next story. The Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, has said that Nigeria's oil output dropped month on month by 5.5% to 1.249 million barrels per day in June of 2023, from about 1.184 million barrels in May 2023. Year on year, the nation's national oil output dropped 17.6% to about 1.24 million barrels in June, from about 1.51 million barrels in the corresponding period of 2022. The report did not take Nigeria's condensate output, which is currently between 300,000 and 400,000 barrels per day, into consideration. Now, the World Bank has remarked that people with disabilities may have the option of getting cash delivered to them at home during the implementation of the $800 million loan approved by the World Bank as subsidy palliative. This was contained in the payment delivery modalities for the National Social Safety Net Program Scale-Up document from the website of the World Bank. The document revealed that people with disabilities can ask someone else to open an account on their behalf, or choose to get the cash delivered to them at home. The Abuja Enterprise Agency has organized the 4th Abuja Business Plan competition to bridge the gap of access to credit, which has been identified as the main obstacle hindering the growth of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. The competition provides a platform for entrepreneurs to display their talents in various fields, including agricultural, social enterprise, innovation, green technology, among others. Our correspondent brought us back.
Abuja Enterprise Agency has organized a business plan competition aimed at fostering entrepreneurship and empowering funding opportunities that will drive economic growth in Nigeria. Speaking at the grand finale of the event, the social advisor to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu on industry, trade and investment, John Ugochukwu Uwajumogu, said it is important to prioritize micro, small and medium enterprises as key in sustaining our economy and stimulating business growth in our nation.
I really applaud the Abuja Entrepreneurship Agency in doing this competition, because it recognizes a key challenge that often stalls the progress of MSME businesses, and in so doing, be able to shed more light and be able to provide these entrepreneurs with the capacity they need in order to survive and grow their business.
Also speaking with the press, he reiterated the commitment of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in ensuring that MSMEs play their role in driving the nation's economy.
His Excellency President Tinubu recognizes the importance that MSMEs play in driving the Nigerian economy, and also recognizes the challenges that they face. Key among them our access to finance, lack of access to finance.
The Managing Director of Abuja Enterprise Agency, Shehu Abdul Kadir, emphasized the need for more collaborations and synergies in order to unleash the potential of micro, small and medium enterprises for a better future for businesses in Nigeria.
I'd like us to join hands and work together to unleash the full potentials of our SMEs. By embracing collaboration and synergy, we're optimistic that we can build a future where small businesses become giants.
Speaking also in an interview with the press, he expressed optimism that MSMEs would boost the economy of the nation in the nearest future.
With the foundation being set in place by the current administration in terms of having an enabling environment for investment flow to SMEs, I'm very optimistic that the contribution of SMEs to the GDP will be overwhelmingly above 10%.
There is need for more refined business plans to demonstrate potential that will make a lasting impact in the business world. Norma Omeje for Moneyline with Nancy.
Britain's Export Finance Agency has announced that it will add the Naira to its list of pre-approved currencies, allowing it to provide financing for transactions with Nigerian businesses denominated in the local currency. The Naira will be one of 3 West African currencies that UK Export Finance has pre-approved for its program of funding transactions that boost commerce with the UK. According to the UK Credit Agency statement, the British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Paul Ackroyd, said it will create a solid foundation for considerable growth in trade and investment between the two countries. In the statement, the UK said it will contribute up to 85% of funding for projects with at least 20% British content. All right, let's quickly take a look at the markets. On Monday, it was a positive start for investors on the Nigerian Stock Exchange. That's the NGX. That's what it's called now. On the Nigerian exchange, as the all-share index gained about 60 basis points to close at 62,943.35 points. The year-to-date return remained in the green, increasing to about 22.81%, while we had 43 winners succeeding over 29 losers on Monday. In the money market, interbank rates dipped slightly as the open buyback rate lost about 7 basis points to 1.04%, while the overnight rate fell 16 basis points to 1.42%. The Treasury bills market on Monday traded on a dull note as market participants shifted their focus to the bond auction, with the average benchmark yield unchanged at 6.07%. Yesterday, the FGN local bond market showed the activities. There was some kind of notable interest in the Treasury bills market, especially in the 2026 and 2027 bonds closing at an average yield that was flat. The FGN Euro bond witnessed a bearish bias due to the slow pace of growth of China's economy in the second quarter. Meanwhile, at the I and E window, Naira to the dollar appreciated to about 7.95 Naira 28 kobo to the dollar. Okay, it depends on who you're talking to. 7.95 is not small money to $1. But if we move over to the United States, stock features changed in overnight trading as Wall Street looked ahead to a busy day. In the US, all 3 major indices climbed as investors braced for the second quarter earnings season, while European stock markets were mixed in early trade as investors focus on earnings, while Asian Pacific markets were mixed as Hong Kong stocks led in the region, tumbling by about 2%. All prices edged higher in early trade after sinking in the previous session on weaker than expected Chinese economic growth. Brent crude trading at about $78 US dollars. As you can see, the US WTI rose to $74 US dollars. Gold prices increased in early trade, while traders awaited retail sales data from the United States to gauge any impact of the US Fed monetary tightening path. Spot gold, as you can see there, rising 0.40%. And that's it right now. Let's quickly take a break to bring in my guest, Dr. Tokpe Fashua. We will be talking about the social intervention and protection systems in Nigeria. Let's go down memory lane. We'll try to evaluate the social intervention and protection schemes in Nigeria. You will recall during President Jonathan days, we had what we call Shopee, Empower, and I think that Buhari administration adopted. You had homeschool, or we still have homeschool homegrown school feeding program that NASCO, the office says, feeds about 5.5 million pupils per day. But we remember what happened during COVID. Now, what we are all hearing is the palliatives from the Tinubu's administration. How will that be spent? 8,000 naira, where is the data? People may say, okay, there's data. Who are going to be the beneficiaries? We'll be talking about that and more when we come back after this break. To join us again.
Here is a new and refreshing offer for our esteemed audience across the globe. The new AIT Cloud TV is an online streaming service that offers you attractive opportunities to view our rich, exciting, and entertaining programs anytime, anywhere. AIT Cloud TV is available on the web on www.ait.app, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and Android TV. You can also download the mobile app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. Simply connect to the internet, download the app, register, and watch live or catch up on unlimited hours of exciting shows. AIT Cloud TV. TV on the go.
All right, welcome back to the program. Joining me right now is my guest, Dr. Tokpe Afashua, who is the Chief Executive Officer at Global Analytics. He's an economist. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, and good morning, Nancy.
Good morning. Now, let's get started. Today's topic, we're looking at social protection as well as social interventions. That's understanding what social investment, social protection, and social, what's the other word again? Social intervention schemes in Nigeria, because in the past few days or since this president came on board, and we've been hearing palliatives, just last week palliatives. So what this show is about is really to understand that scheme, take a look at also how other countries have implemented their social intervention or social investment programs. But I will want us to start from the premise of, what do you really understand when a country says that I want to embark on a social intervention program, or I want to embark on a social investment program, or I want to embark on a social protection program? Are those three the same things? Are those three words?
Well, basically, they're almost the same, really, because eventually, when a country is forced to have to do that, that means that there's an extant problem that needs to be dealt with among the most vulnerable in the country. Now, every country has vulnerable people, without a doubt, though some are a lot better than others. For example, maybe countries in Western Europe, Scandinavian countries have managed, and they will call them social social capitalists, right? That's what they are. So they've managed to ensure that, look, they focus on people. So whereas you see people sleeping on the streets in some of them and people going to dire straits, but they are really not very significant. And in fact, many people are doing that by choice. That's the truth. That's those places where, like in Norway, they don't even have prisons anymore. They are closing down their prisons. Okay, and the prisons that they have are more like resorts where prisoners can walk out and walk back in anytime they want. So, however, that also is a model for the rest of the world, especially even countries like the US, where they're still incarcerating so many people, and there are a lot of poor people in the US, and people are sleeping on the streets. And when you go to what they call the poverty belt in the south of the US, what they call, you see conditions like, some bad places of Ajegule in the United States. Usually, unfortunately, it's black people that you would find there mostly, So when a country says they want to do that, for example, the US in 2022 enacted what they call the Inflation Reduction Act. Yeah. And when I was coming to this show, I realized that I had written on this before, highlighting it for the public, as is my own duty, which I've taken upon myself. And in that Inflation Reduction Act, what they tried to do in the US was, funny enough, they call it Inflation Reduction Act, right? Which is like a moniker. That's the name that goes with it. But in actual fact, it's a plan for resuscitating the entire economy. Yeah. And in resuscitating the economy, and reducing deficit, they also target reducing inflation. So, I mean, they plan 15% minimum tax on large companies, and by that they were going to raise about $222 billion. And then, of course, they also plan to raise $265 billion from prescription drugs. So that one is targeted at the pharmaceutical company, and they have them, Pfizer and co. in the US, But in targeting that, they intend to divert the money to Affordable Care Act. That's the Obama Care, to enable more people to have access to care. And also, a lot of that money was going to be targeted at energy, the energy crisis. Listen to some of what they say they want to do, which now answers your question in terms of what exactly should it mean. So first of all, of course, they've been talking about climate action. So climate is one of it, clean energy, electricity, to modernize their electricity grid, to provide more energy for people, to build electric vehicles, to assist in the building of electric vehicle chargers, to strengthen battery supply chain, to expand public transit and passenger rail, transit, all right? To invest in new clean energy and emissions reduction, to improve resilience in physical and natural systems, to clean up pollution in communities, to create high-quality jobs, including union jobs. They're talking about private sector work alone, right? Including union jobs with good benefits and supportive services that build pathways for the middle class. To raise $737 billion and spend $437 billion, thereby lowering deficit by $300 billion, to enable Medicare and all of that, to lower inflation, invest in energy. So I think that what we need to be doing, which I've actually been trying to get our government to see, through my writings. In fact, for about 3 weeks, I devoted my writing to how else do we reduce inflation, for example. And in reducing inflation, that means, what are we going to be spending for our people? The government hasn't started, actually. Unfortunately, we've seen...
The government?
No, they haven't started in the area of social security, is what I'm saying. Okay. And the so-called palliative they want to do. We see a scenario where we fronted... One second.
Dr. Fashola, 1 second, let me ask this, as you have just said this. You said the government hasn't started in terms of social...
Yeah, they haven't actually started the real program.
Isn't it a misnomer also for this government to start on the premise of bringing out two bold steps, killing two elephants in the room, killing two elephants in the room at the same time,
right,
and not coming out with a commensurate impact reduction plan?
Exactly,
yes,
you're right.
Because
an inflation management plan is what got me here. impact reduction in general, of course, the real problem is inflation, how it comes hitting people from several areas. And of course, this morning we're hearing that NNPC has increased fuel price to 617, even though someone said they bought at 568 now, is somewhere in Abuja. But you see, yes, you are very right. I was of the opinion initially that what we should do is, if we're going to deregulate the fuel sector, the fuel market, we should hold on the devaluation of the naira and let this one sink for a while. However, I'm not in that driver's seat, you know what I'm saying? So for some reason, and I did also write, that look, we need to move the president from the claws of neoliberal economists who seem to have gotten the lay of the land more into what he actually espouses, which is center-left, a little bit to the left, and thinking about people. This is a president that
so
says...
should it be a little bit of welfare,
a president that says, the poor must be allowed to breathe. Let the poor breathe. Now, that's a deep statement. However, on the ground, what we're seeing is something that needs to be quickly rescued. So like I said, look at what the United States has done for their own people, in spite of the fact that per capita income there is close to $50,000 per person. And here we are, $2,000 per capita income. And we cannot be rolling out these things. However, there's sometimes when you now do this policy, my biggest fear was, especially when you say you want to unify the currency, and all you've done is just allow the official to be chasing the black market. What are we talking about? That's, but again, the team hasn't been fully, constituted so we can have ideas from rivals, like about Abraham Lincoln's cabinet, a team of rivals. Have people thinking from the left, have those thinking from the right, and let these guys come together and come out with huge debates that can take us in a certain direction. However, what is up right now is that the people must be rescued. Okay? The government wanted to do the 8,000 naira per family per month thing. I understand it's been stepped down. I understand it's been stepped down. I saw it on the internet yesterday. Maybe, but I'm not sure there's any policy to that effect. I also felt that was going to be a bit inefficient. Okay, and I suggested that why don't we do again? Example from the United States. Why don't we do something like a food program instead, where we're targeting farmers, patronizing our farmers like they do in the United States. Here they call it United States Agricultural Marketing Service Food Purchase and Distribution Program, which they've been doing since forever. And they've been buying goods worth $1.2 billion in some years, $2.3 billion in some years from their farmers, in which case we can target the post-harvest losses that happen across the country.
That's subsidy for their farmers. I hope you know that.
Well, of course.
Because the US,
but you know that the World Bank and
a lot of agricultural subsidies.
The World Bank and Co. that advise them, that advise us here, they are residents in this country. They never tell us to do things like this. They tell us to come and give our people cash, which if you give the heads of a house, a man, if you give him 8,000 in a month, he can spend it on cigarettes, can use it to do betting, or can take it to the beer parlor and finish it in 30 minutes. Is that what we need to be spending money on at this moment, or we need to be doing something much more comprehensive? And this is my latest article on that, and I listed what we could get from having a food program like they have in the US, with evidence of what they've done in the US. So that would be direct cash assistance to the farmers, direct money we are buying from them, so they have a ready market. If we went to places like Benue State every year, billions of naira worth of oranges and mangoes wasted in that place, and people are in this country suffering malnutrition. Our children who can't afford ordinary oranges, the government takes it off them, distributes to the rest of the country. In places like Kwara, Kogi, cashew fruits, not only the nuts that get wasted. Even in the southwest of Nigeria, all sorts of fruits.
Take that money and embark on a food program.
That is what we need to do now, and in which way we're going to be, kind of going back to our rural areas and opening them up. And of course, the government has declared a certain food security emergency. This dovetails directly into it. So there's no way we should just be spending that money. Let us use it to reboot our system. And you know what I said earlier? I said the government hasn't started. Go to NSITF, Nigeria Social Insurance Trust Fund. There's trillions sitting in that place, which companies contribute every year. And all you hear about the NSITF is, somebody has taken 50 billion and run away. Almost all the MDs for the past 6, 7, 8 MDs have been removed on corruption, on one fraud or the other, or scandal. Because the money is there. They tell you that all they do with the money is assist people who have accidents on the job. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you take money from me. I don't run a factory. Nobody has ever had accident in my office on the job. You know what I'm saying? So it's a slush fund. This is the time for us to be moving in that area. And if you look at what the United States has done with this inflation reduction, you'll see that it's multi-sectoral.
Okay.
They're talking of the pharmaceutical industry, the health industry,
issues,
the energy industry, the car industry, and so on.
Let me come.
So we haven't actually started thinking, and I believe we will soon.
You talk about the NSITF, and in fact, I wanted to say it.
Not only NSITF,
NHIS,
all of them. NHIS, yes. Go there and look at how much funds is sitting there right now. What can we deploy it for?
Because that's also for social protection.
UBE. They cannot just be telling us that they are keeping money. States are not coming to collect it. They are keeping those monies in the banks. Now is the time that you have to think deeply and say, where do we have surplus funds and where can we get? Because listen, the people must be assisted. We cannot continue like this. Listen, the electric people are waiting. 40% increase. You can't barrage the people. But let me tell you, the job of a president is tough. Many times, look, I mean, from meeting to meeting, so many people pursuing you, traveling everywhere, you may not be able to think. Now is the time for those who supported President Tinubu to step out and assist him. A lot of people are looking for appointments. It's not about appointments. You can't be serving an appointment in a government that may miss its way.
Okay.
Now is the time for us to step out and say, listen, this is not panning out the way we... Listen, it's supposed to be a government of renewed hope. So where is the hope? Okay. If we are... Look at what these guys are doing. Now that we thought that, okay, let us keep Naira where it is. But every time the Naira devalues, are we going to be increasing the fuel price?
That's exactly what I said earlier.
Because it cannot work like that.
But that's how it's going to be, because
so okay, mind you that the government,
oil price will go
up. Do you know that the government,
oil price going up?
As per the manifesto, the government promised a stronger Naira.
I know that. I saw that. And
so why are we talking of a much
GDP
weaker
growth
Naira?
Of double digits. 6%, but they can start.
So again, look at. I've made some suggestions here about where we can get money from. The point is, look, this is the time to kind of soften some of the fences around some of those funds where they're sitting. You can't say you're NHIS, you are keeping sludge funds somewhere because people are contributing and the government cannot access it. The government has to call them to the table and say, guys, what are we doing with this money?
Okay, now
can we make the lives of our people easier like that?
You've given me an example mostly of the United States. Our next door neighbor, which is Ghana, came up with a program called Livelihood Empowerment Against Poverty, LEAP, in 2013 when the country deregulated fuel. There's also what they call Bolsa Familia in Brazil.
Yeah, Brazil.
The Philippines also did a social protection program. Indonesia also did a social protection program. Now, my question is, you raised the United States. Isn't it more significant or more important for Nigeria as the poverty capital of the world, perhaps to deepen its social intervention program or social protection or whatever you want to call it, to be able to assist the poor?
Absolutely.
Then
so where are the poor?
Secondly, can those social intervention programs, can they really lift the extreme poor people out of extreme poverty?
The point is, how are you going to target them specifically? In China, which I also... Now, the reason why I'm quoting U.S., listen, I mean, U.S. is meant to be the most capitalist country in the world. And people will come here and tell us all sorts about how to jettison all the subsidies and throw our people under the boss of market forces. Market is the most efficient allocator of resources are here. In a country like this, we can begin to see now the foolhardiness of those ideas. And the people who are pushing this are people who have millions of dollars saved up in USD currency, most of them outside the country, who don't care about the people of this country. But forgetting that in order for us to get that double-digit growth rate, we have to go back to the people and make the people, first of all, healthy, with food in their tummy, and therefore productive. The only way we can get those double digits growth is if we get more of our people to be productive, reduce that unemployment 33% or whatever number it is right now, and get our people working. That's the only way we can do that. So forget all these things about foreign direct investment. Right now, they're targeting foreign portfolio investment. They're talking about the stock market. How many poor people are invested in the stock market? For how long? And we know what we suffered in the hands of foreign portfolio investors. The moment there's a downturn, all of those guys shift en masse in one fell swoop. So listen, we can't do this to ourselves. Some of us are economic historians. We've seen this happen over and over again. We won't allow it this time.
No,
So I mentioned that in China, in order for what they've done, they have what they call the poverty eradication, targeted poverty eradication program. And I've seen Xi Jinping, the president. Sometimes we go to the villages, hop in the hills, some of the kind of hills we don't have in this part. If we sit with them, we will get to know. And so what they've done is they've documented each household. If Nigeria says it has a social register, we don't know when they documented each household. When they document each household in China, they will be able to tell you that this household has a problem with disease, this one with skills, this one's with jobs. So when they're sending people from the secretariat to go and help those people, they are sending targeted help to them. The one that needs to get their children into school, the one that needs medicine, the one that needs a job right now, the one that needs food. All right, food is basic to most people anyway, for as long as you can assist. But do you know that even in China, when I read on that and I was writing an article that, listen, anyway, this is what I do. I realized that even the officials were cheating some of the poor people, such that a few of them have had to be taken to the firing squad for cheating the poor people. When they say, go and give them this one, you decide to divert it. So when did the Ministry of Humanitarian Resources under Buhari collect the data of the poor people in this country? Why can they not make that data available such that people can go there and check whether their names are there, whether the people that they have listed to social addresses are there? Why are they not being transparent? If you want to do something right, and in this age of social media, in this age of smartphones, in this age where every human being is AIT, everybody is broadcasting on their own, the best thing you can do for yourself is make your data transparent and confirmable.
According to NASCO, that's the office that the social safety, I had to look up on their website this morning to see if I could get anything updated. But what I saw was the poor and vulnerable household stands at 12,828,135 and 52,838,729 individuals in 128,249 communities in 737 local government areas, according to
Honestly,
them, in 8,000 words. That's what they listed there.
Nancy, that is fiction. It's pure fiction.
Why is it fiction? Are you saying fiction. We have more people, or you don't believe in this data?
We don't. When we finished an election, a keenly contested election where some people are even still trying to pull the election apart, we were able to record only 25.2 million, 25.2 million, which was less than what we had in 1993, 25.4 million. Meaning that Nigeria's population did drop over 30 years. However, in 2003, we had 42 million in the same election, 2003, when the stakes are not this high, the youths are not this many, the issues are not this many. So if someone to tell me, I said the only thing that may have happened is that technology is finding us out. You can complain all of what you want to complain about, the election and the issues, but the point is that technology is reducing that number. Fraud and manipulation were reduced to a certain extent, meaning that I said I challenge Nigeria's population. If we do this food program that I'm mentioning here, we can use it to collate better details, and even we can piggyback this food policy, we can piggyback this food program on the back of the census that they want to do. So that let people come out, you want food, how many people are in your yard? You can say, inside my place where you can't enter, I have 500 human beings there. And that is how we got here with all of these numbers. When did Nigeria, whoever, NASCO or whatever, when did they collect this number? You can't just sit down and write numbers for Nigerians. We are not even up to 200 million. Let's not deceive ourselves. If we can count this country, the people in this country properly, we would hardly find 120 million. And because of people, governments have used that over time to be collecting aid from different places. We've now turned to beggars. And at the end of the day, we can't even think for ourselves. And now people are pushing all sorts of funny policies down our throats. I understand that even the World Bank is part of the people pushing this idea that we should go and spend cash to our people, because you must use whatever loans they are giving you for what exactly they want you to use it for. And we don't want that money for cash distribution right now.
President Tinubu to go about a kind of social welfare program. You've canvassed, you've canvassed that cash shouldn't be given, it should be a food program from you. So how should a President Tinubu embark on a social intervention program? And we're saying Nigerians are suffering from what I call policy or reform overdose at the same time.
Invariably.
PMS subsidy removal, FX unification, high prices of food price going up every day, and all of that. So it's an overdose. We are being hit left, right, and center. Even if you're a big man, I used to say it. Now, the school of thought then was that fuel subsidy affects the rich, but it doesn't affect the poor. That was then. But now, it's only the rich that can afford fuel. So I don't know the economics or the economics like your rich people that were confusing Nigerians.
Labour says come and increase our salary to 200,000 minimum wage, meaning that the cleaner in the office wants to get 200,000. If you want to, that means that a middle manager will get maybe 3 million every month. Imagine that madness on the economy. And then, okay, how does the private sector follow suit? How many of us who are running our little companies can afford to pay cleaner 200,000 naira? It's madness. So whatever it is you're going to do on that level, be sure that can the informal sector, even our artisans that will work for you, and they say, you ask them how much is your money, they say, okay, anything you like, give me. How are we protecting those people who say, anything you have, give me? We don't care about them, but they're part of the economy. So
answer my question on how should a Tinubu
now we need a big meeting. Unfortunately, they have fronted the bad news. Now is the time for us to rush in with the good news. They need big meeting. Look, I'm not interested. I'm not sure the governors. There's a Toludo committee, and which other governor is there that they are supposed to. This is beyond politicians. Now is the time to convene big meetings, and all we want to hear in that meeting is what are the ideas we can put, where can we find money to finance it. I've mentioned to you, go to NSITF, get money there. UB is sitting on money. Look at other places in there. Maybe Third Fund is sitting on money. That's just educational sector. All the sectors, all those parastatals that will sit on money and say they're doing for what? Now is the time. If MPA has money, if NIMASA has money, let's put this money down. Because look, the country is teetering. It's teetering right now. We don't want another EndSARS on our hands. We don't even want January 2012 like what happened under Jonathan. We've pushed the people enough. People are suffering. The depression on the road, on the streets now. People are depressed. People are ready to fight. We don't want that. This is not what we promised. A new government should come with the good news. Fine. If you want to you've taken a few decisions to show that we can take those decisions. But the point now is this, that, okay, having taken the decision, there has to be a human factor, a human face to what we're talking about. So what do we do now? And we have the money. So listen, you know what? If we sit and look at this one that the United States did, you'll be shocked at everything they're looking at. They call it Inflation Reduction, U.S. Inflation Reduction Act 2022. We're not talking of 10 years ago. This is what is going on right now, okay? And you can see what they're talking about. They're talking of energy, electricity, batteries. They're talking of public transit, passenger rail. These are the things we need to be spending on. But the first thing, in my view, for you to take out the pangs, to take out the edge from this hunger, let's do a food program. It's much better than a cash program, okay? Let's assist our poor.
This security factor, because structural problems have also been affecting food challenges. You take a look at, you see the way CBN has been fighting inflation for the past 2 years. Anytime it increases rate, inflation goes higher. MPC will be next week. I think so.
So it's
CBN has not been able,
policy,
is not getting it.
Monetary policy, as we've used all our monetary policy bullets. That's the thing. Forget it, man. We knew it a long while ago that monetary policy was not going to work anymore. So we have to look at the supply side. The central bank has done enough. They probably overreached themselves. We know what the consequences are. Everybody is blaming MFLA. The man is cooling his heels somewhere. It's not everything they did that was bad. They struggled. When the fiscal sector was not kicking in, the central bank picked up the pieces. But the point is, of course, when all is said and done, somebody carries the can. That's what we are right now. The previous government failed itself and failed in Nigeria. The first thing is we must not continue with any kind of policy that reminds us of that era. This US, they are allocating 80 billion for IRS tax enforcement. Have we heard about that? We're not talking about increases in tax. Don't increase taxes. Nigerians have had enough of taxes. But those who can, are they paying? Those who can, who are making, in this same country, people are making money. We're talking of fuel price increases. Guys are making money in the crude oil sector, in the midstream, upstream, downstream sector. Guys are cleaning out, Are they paying the much they should pay so that we can assist the poor people? Because you see, we shouldn't forget that the biggest asset of Nigeria are the people.
Okay.
A few
now,
people,
last question.
But we must continue to invest in the people. We can't just keep sucking them dry.
Last question, because I'm looking at our meeting and we have about 3 minutes or so to go. Last question. There are also, among the poor people, there are also vulnerable groups. It's women bear the brunt of poverty. Women are normally the face of poverty in any country. Women, children, and perhaps even the physically displaced. We have IDPs amongst us.
Including physically
challenged people. How should social interventions also take those people?
So you know what? I think that, for example,
that's why I asked earlier, how should a Tinubu's woman face look like?
That is where you are going to get the real data.
You've talked about take off this thing, guys. Subsidy is gone. Should we all go to hell? We can't go to hell because all of us are living in hell right now.
Almost
everybody. Do you understand? Because people are suffering.
It's about data. You're talking about data. So listen, you know what? People living with disabilities in this country, they have associations that we can reach. It's not all of them that are poor, though. Not all of them. Some of them are doing very well. Some of them have been absorbed into employment in different places. Some of them are entrepreneurs. But vulnerability, you see there. Children. So children, you may not be able to start giving children things on the streets. We are supposed to have 10 million children roaming the streets, out of school and all of that, north and south of the country. This is a good sign. But do you know one thing? As bad as things are, it's seeming to me like, it's always darkest before daybreak. It's seeming to me that if we take this opportunity, never, like they say, never let a crisis go to waste. If we ensure that this crisis doesn't go to waste, boom, we may be hitting, some sort of jackpot in terms of development for this country. But now is the time to stop. If I don't want to hear one additional policy of something market forces, everybody should go to blazes. These neoliberal guys, I'm not a neoliberal. We're going to go after them.
Honestly, amongst students like economics,
it's true. You know what I'm saying?
different.
Yeah, I will never agree with them because look, you talk about market sanctity, but the thing is this: market failures have been documented. 3 people, George Akerlof, Michael Spence and Stiglitz, they got a Nobel Prize in 2001 based on the failure of markets. They said that information asymmetry, that people are going to be in the market who know much more about what's going on than the rest. They will just come and sell you a dummy and all of that stuff. So, hey, this is the time for us where I think that we can make something of this. But now is the time to have a multi-sectoral debate and putting everything on the table to help our people. The next 3 policies we want to hear are goodies for the people. Goodies from transport, goodies from food, goodies from salaries, goodies from jobs, goodies from money. And I think we can do that.
Okay, 30 seconds. Should the homeschool feeding program still continue? Then what you're seeing that some states are doing, I think Kwara State and those states, which other states, some are saying, okay, they've increased minimum wage to 40,000. Some have brought out buses for their citizens in the states.
And some said their citizens should not come to work.
Yes,
which is a reduction in productivity if you can't actually get them to really farm. Now is not the time. In the trajectory of our development as an economy, now is not the time to sit at home and be watching Nollywood if you can find money to buy fuel in your generator. Now is the time for us to
Nollywood
work.
Is not bad. That is one industry that is also bringing
okay, not too
money.
Bad. Okay, fine. Why not the
entertainment industry is bringing in dollars.
This is the time for us to work. And I think that there's work to be done in this country. So, so there's a lot that we can do for our people.
Should the homegrown school feeding program continue? Because in the administration, we were told that they feed 5.5 million
When I was running for presidency in 2019, I was in the places in Zamfara and Katsina State, and I realized that many mothers would just send their children with bowls to those schools to take the money, to take the food and come back home. Listen, can replace that with the food program. Raw food is what we're talking about here, where we can even target nutrition. Government can target a balanced diet. We are not just giving you rice or giving you corn. We're giving you some corn, some oranges, and some beans. Or even if they can intervene with... there are so many cattle in this country. We're actually the largest producer of livestock in Africa.
Okay, I think we'll leave it
so we can take a bit of that. We can begin to actually...
We can go on and on.
Yeah, we can reintegrate our local economy.
Sure, both of us can go on and on.
That is where the problem is. And that is where the next growth for this economy is, the rural areas. And now is our opportunity. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, too, for your contribution. We can go on and on. Perhaps off camera, we'll go on and on. All right, that's the much we can take on today's edition of the program. What this has really exposed to me is that we can't leave it here, because we've got to continue to interrogate the social intervention schemes in Nigeria. Be the best you can be, but the change you want to see. Dr. Tokpe Fashola, an economics and Chief Executive Officer, Global Analytics, have joined me at least in the last few minutes to talk about that. I'll see you all tomorrow. Bye now.